Welcome to Propeller Breeze, the show for student pilots, sim fans, and everyone chasing that first solo and beyond. All information in this podcast is for entertainment and general knowledge only. Always verify with certified flight instructors or regulatory authorities before attempting anything mentioned here.
If you are a PPL student and you're working toward that check ride, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Oh, absolutely.
We are going straight into what I'd call the nervous system of your basic instruments, the pitot-static system. It's basically the lifeblood of how your aircraft understands the air it's flying through.
That's a great way to put it.
When it works, you don't even think about it. It's just invisible. But when it fails, you are suddenly blind.
Completely. You lose your basic motion, your altitude, your vertical trend, everything.
So today, our mission is to cut through all the jargon and really focus on two things. First, how does it work? And second, and this is the crucial part, how do you diagnose the specific failure when a blockage happens?
Which is almost always something simple.
Exactly. Ice, dirt, sometimes even a spider. Okay, let's unpack this.
And that ability to diagnose, just based on what the instruments are doing, that is what separates a student from a truly competent pilot.
Right.
Just remember, 3 core flight instruments all rely on this one system. You've got your airspeed indicator, your altimeter, and your vertical speed indicator, the VSI.
All 3.
And your safety really starts before you even get in the plane. On the ground. The physical inspection.
The pre-flight.
You have to check that the pitot tube cover is removed, and you have to physically look with your eyes and verify that the pitot opening and the static ports are clear.
If you miss that step,
You're setting yourself up for an in-flight emergency before you've even started the engine.
Okay. So safety starts on the ground. Let's start with the airspeed indicator, the ASI. It's the most direct indicator of the pitot system's health. So how do we turn moving air into a number, into knots?
It's all about measuring the difference between 2 kinds of pressure.
Okay.
So think of the pitot tube, the thing that sticks out facing forward. It's like a scoop. It's scooping up the moving air.
Right, the ram air.
Exactly. We call it ram air pressure or dynamic pressure. And that pressure is routed into this sealed, very sensitive diaphragm inside the indicator itself.
So that's one input. What's the reference? What's it being compared against?
The reference comes from the static ports. They're usually these little holes flush-mounted on the side of the fuselage.
Okay.
They collect the static or ambient air pressure, and that pressure fills the instrument case around the diaphragm.
So you have ram air pressure pushing to expand the diaphragm from the inside.
And static pressure on the outside, pushing back.
Yeah.
The instrument just measures how much that diaphragm expands.
So if I'm sitting on the runway, not moving.
You're not stooping up any ram air. The pressure inside the diaphragm and the pressure outside are the same.
And the needle reads 0.
Precisely. The key insight, and this trips people up sometimes, is that the pitot tube is always collecting the total pressure. That includes the ambient static pressure plus the dynamic pressure from your motion.
So the instrument is doing the math for you.
Yes. It subtracts the static pressure in the case from the total pressure in the diaphragm, and what's left is the dynamic pressure, which it shows you as airspeed. That's why you need both inputs.
Which brings us straight to the failure modes. Let's start with the big one, the one that causes the most chaos. A static port blockage.
Yes.
The little ports on the side of the plane get iced over or maybe taped over by accident. What happens immediately?
This is the most critical failure, I think, because you lose your accurate reference pressure for all 3 instruments.
It's a system-wide failure.
Instantly. The pressure inside the static lines gets trapped. And that trapped pressure now becomes the reference for everything, no matter what the airplane is actually doing.
Okay, so let's start with the altimeter. What does it do?
It just freezes instantly.
It's stuck.
It's stuck at the altitude where the blockage occurred. You could climb 1,000 feet, and that needle will not budge. The reference pressure is trapped.
And the vertical speed indicator, the VSI.
That one's maybe even easier to diagnose. The VSI works on the rate of change in static pressure.
So if the pressure can't change,
the VSI will slowly but surely settle back to reading 0. It will tell you you're in level flight, even if you're in a steep climb or descent.
Okay, so diagnostic clue number 1. My altimeter is frozen, and my VSI is reading 0, but I know for a fact I'm climbing. I have a static port failure.
Without a doubt.
But what about the ASI in this scenario? How does it react?
This is where it gets really strange.
Okay.
Remember, the ASI is still getting good ram air pressure from the pitot tube, so the diaphragm is still working. But the pressure surrounding it, the static reference, is trapped.
So if you climb,
If you climb, the actual outside static pressure is dropping, but the reference pressure in the instrument case is stuck at a higher value from a lower altitude,
so there's less pressure pushing on the diaphragm from the outside.
which means the diaphragm expands more than it should. The ASI will overread. It will indicate you're going faster than you really are.
And if you descend, it's the opposite.
The exact opposite. You descend into higher pressure air, but the trapped pressure in the case is lower. That extra outside pressure squeezes the diaphragm, and the ASI will underread.
So that's the triple threat. A static failure means a frozen altimeter, a zeroed VSI, and an airspeed indicator that is just plain lying to you.
A very dangerous combination if you don't recognize it.
Okay. Now let's narrow our focus. Let's talk about just pitot tube blockages, and let's assume the static port is working perfectly fine.
Right. This failure only affects the ASI.
But its behavior depends entirely on a tiny little, often overlooked part,
The drain hole.
the drain hole. This gives us two totally different failure modes.
That's right.
So scenario A, the main pitot opening is blocked, maybe an insect, maybe some ice, but the little drain hole underneath is clear. What happens to the pressure going to the ASI?
Well, ram air can't get in anymore, so the air pressure that was already in the system now has an escape route.
Through the drain hole.
Through the drain hole, it vents out, and the pressure inside the pitot system quickly drops to whatever the ambient outside air pressure is.
So the pressure inside the diaphragm becomes the same as the static pressure outside the diaphragm.
Exactly. And since the ASI senses no difference between its two inputs,
The needle drops to zero.
rapidly, you get a very quick apparent loss of all airspeed.
That is such a critical diagnostic tool. If you're flying along at 100 knots and the airspeed suddenly dies, your first thought shouldn't be, oh, no, a stall.
No, it should be, I might have a pitot blockage with a clear drain hole.
Okay, so now for scenario B. This is the one that really causes confusion for students.
The trap pressure scenario.
The pitot opening and the drain hole are clogged, both of them. Maybe by ice.
Right, so now the total pressure, the ram air that was captured at the exact moment of blockage, is trapped. It can't get in and it can't get out.
So what happens?
Well, the immediate result, if you stay at the same altitude, is the ASI needle will just freeze.
It's just stuck at whatever speed you're going.
Exactly, it's stuck, regardless of whether you speed up or slow down. But here's the twist. The static port is still working perfectly. It's still feeding the instrument changes in outside pressure as you change altitude.
And here we are, the ultimate PPL aha moment.
This is it.
We have a constant trapped pressure inside the diaphragm, but a changing pressure on the outside of it. The ASI is about to act like a very, very strange altimeter.
A very strange inverse altimeter. Let's walk through a descent first.
Like I'm descending.
You're descending. The pitot tube is fully blocked. That trapped pressure on the diaphragm stays constant. But as you go lower, the external static pressure in the instrument case increases.
Right. Denser air.
That rising external pressure pushes harder on the outside of the diaphragm, compressing it. The instrument sees that compression and interprets it as a drop in dynamic pressure.
So the ASI indicates a decreased airspeed.
Even if your true speed is constant, you descend, your airspeed indicator goes down.
And in a climb, it does the exact opposite, which makes the diagnosis even clearer.
It's a perfect mirror image. You climb, the track pressure is still constant, but the external static pressure decreases.
Less pressure on the outside.
So the diaphragm expands. The ASI sees that expansion, thinks it's an increase in dynamic pressure, and shows a greater airspeed.
This is the golden rule for diagnosis, then. If you're climbing and your indicated airspeed is just steadily rising, but you haven't touched the power or changed your attitude,
Yeah, almost certainly have a blocked pitot system with trapped pressure. That pattern recognition is what keeps you safe.
and we have to emphasize this kind of blockage is so often caused by ice, invisible moisture.
Overwhelmingly.
So a quick safety reminder from the source material here. Many aircraft have pitot heat for this exact problem. You have to consult your aircraft's flight manual, the AFM or POH, for the specific procedures on when and how to use it.
Absolutely critical. So if we connect this all back to the bigger picture for the student pilot, you really have two families of failure.
Two families, I like that.
Pitot blockage only messes with your ASI. It either makes it read zero or it makes it act like that weird altimeter.
But static blockage?
That's a systemic failure. It compromises all three instruments by corrupting their one source of reference pressure.
So what does this all mean? I mean, for your knowledge exam, for your check ride, it means the ability to look at those three needles and confidently say, I have a static failure. Or, I have a venting pitot failure.
It's not just theory.
Not at all. It's the core of how you implement your emergency procedures. It tells you what you can trust and what you can't.
And what backups you need to turn to.
Exactly. So we spent all this time talking about how the static port provides that critical reference pressure. But let's imagine the worst-case scenario. You're at altitude, and suddenly, both the pitot tube and the static port get blocked at the same time. A total system failure. Since all your pressure references are now gone, how would you verify your airspeed and altitude and what crucial backup instrumentation is available to you as a PPL student in that emergency? That's the immediate safety challenge you have to be ready to solve.
That's it for this episode. Keep your wings level, your brain sharp, and catch you next time in the pattern. Thanks for riding with Propeller Breeze.